I made a lot of analysis of Bill Gates, whether it's about Jeffrey Epstein's island or his divorce. It has been quite a journey of all the times that we have caught him in lies. But this time is a bit different. It is not an interview, but something that Netflix is doing, like a documentary about the guy who is doing all these amazing jobs for humanity, this projects for humanity, because somehow, well, Bill Gates claims that he's doing all this for mankind, right? But it seems that we need a documentary about him and not his work, because the documentary is heavily focused on him. But I want to analyze how he is trying to make some kind of public relations effort on looking good. And well, when he includes Lady Gaga, Anthony Fauci, and Bono, you already know how it's gonna go. So let's begin and see this by sections.
This is a show about our future. The world is facing a lot of big challenges right now.
Yeah, especially the most important challenge is trying to digest this stuff that Bill Gates, he's trying to sell the idea that he's doing so many things. There's one thing that I could say, okay, I'm okay with that, which is trying to build more efficient nuclear plants. Okay, that is one thing that I could agree with him, but all the others, I don't know. I have my doubts
right now.
Climate change,
creating responsible AI.
I mean, what is responsible AI? AI, we should go all the way with AI. What is irresponsible AI? It's like saying that irresponsible Photoshop. People are gonna use it eventually for crazy things. That's what we know. That's how humanity is. You cannot just control that. And well, we know that Bill Gates has that penchant for control. And you also got the climate change poor and for good measure.
Misinformation.
income inequality.
Misinformation, income inequality. He wants to tackle all these things. It's so there's so much variety in there. How many things? Again, I am curious about many things, and I know that Bill Gates has been curious about many things. Some of those that I cannot mention. And he has the resources to be curious about anything that he wishes. But how much power and influence can we give to a single man to, suggest things in entire countries?
Dealing with infectious diseases.
I'm sure that nobody liked the fact that Anthony Fauci was there. You know that if you're trying to make a public relations effort for your reputation, make sure to not include this kind of people. That is not going to work.
Infectious diseases.
But I believe we can solve them. How will
Inspiring
artificial
music
intelligence impact society? Crafted text to my son using Gen Z slang. Yo fam, what's good?
Yo fam, what's good? How you vibing? Oh, he's trying to appear, the magic word, relatable. I'm using AI in a very funny way to craft this Gen Z letter to my son. Oh, fam, what's good? How you vibing? Yes, that is trying to be relatable. And with the shaky camera and all.
Vibing.
At a certain point, AI will be good enough to build a better AI. So AI builds a better AI, which builds a better, which builds 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 better.
And then you have a terrible monster. I mean, this is more fear mongering. This is again, you have the whole enchilada. You have the climate change. You got the I don't know if mass starvation. You got the killer AI. I mean, how are you so sure that it's gonna be a bad thing, and you have to put that in a way that looks so bad that loud roar, and you got a rogue AI. Again, it's trying to. We need to control this. That is the magic word for Bill Gates from since forever.
It's getting hard to write science fiction.
That's something that you can always do. You include familiar faces. James Cameron, maybe an interview about what, filmmaking or the Mariana Trenches. I don't know. It's so many things that Bill Gates could be interested in. In this case, science fiction. Well, you know that's James Cameron's thing, but in the sense that I think that he's trying to show other people to borrow from their cloud. That's something that you do. You make sure to put famous and familiar faces so you can be related to them.
Science fiction.
And chuckles.
There's always been conspiracy theories. We underestimate how creative Americans are.
Bill Gates is part of a reptilian race that includes Tom Hanks and Lady Gaga.
Entertainment and information are a lot closer together than they ever have been before.
Okay, I have one video about Tom Hanks. You should look for that on my channel. I'm sure that you're gonna find it quite interesting.
There's no way to stop it.
I don't have the solution.
Come on.
And Lady Gaga, again, you want to appeal to a broader audience, and maybe Lady Gaga is the way to go. Maybe that's why she's appearing in Joker 2, and in this documentary, maybe she's the wild card to make sure that you go the broader audience route. I don't know. Maybe that's a Hollywood thing.
No.
We have to give up hydrocarbons almost entirely.
Who says that? Why do we have to give up hydrocarbons almost entirely? Show me the numbers, Bill. I understand. I love Teslas. I love electric cars. Like anybody that has driven any of those cars, but I think that our energy requirements, nuclear can help a lot for that. But giving up hydrocarbons almost entirely, that's a bold claim. We're very far from that, and the consequences of giving them up too early, I don't think. I'm not a specialist, that's for sure, but I don't think it's gonna be a good idea.
Climate change benefits by having lots of young activists.
I operate from love of my home and the people.
I learned from that.
Okay, one thing that I want to ask: why are you putting so much stress in young activists? Are the activists more important than scientists? And of course, those activists, old activists are not that useful for you, I guess. They have to be young activists. I get it.
Young activists.
I operate from love of my home and the people.
I learn from them just like I do from the scientists coming up with the breakthroughs.
He is also trying to connect himself or attach himself to the youth, to younger people who are, well, cannot be seasoned scientists, because to be a seasoned scientist who knows what they're talking about, you need to be of certain age, right? But no, he has to, well, and I'm with the younger generations, and you have to go to for the Greta Thunberg types that are activists, because that is pretty much what you can do at that age. And he's putting them at the same level of scientists coming up with the breakthroughs. So if you're a scientist, I don't think that you could be happy with that comparison. But your mileage may vary.
We have the obscene situation where there are 3 people, you being one of them, who own more wealth than the bottom half of America.
Bernie Sanders, maybe he could talk about how he was treated so bad by his own party. That would be interesting. I would watch that interview.
Is the system working? In your judgment, is it working? What do you think?
That is a stupid question. I have to say, I have to respect Bernie Sanders because the guy has like 200 years more than me. But it's a stupid question. It's a classic socialist question that because someone is ultra rich, that it means that somehow the system is not working. No, the system is called capitalism, and Bill Gates is ultra rich because he devised a product and made sure to navigate the monopoly game in such a way to amass a fortune. That's what capitalism does, and that's why we are some people, not me, are stuck with Microsoft and Office and all the stuff. I'm stuck with other products of capitalism, but you get the idea. But no, it is like saying that people are suffering on the streets or the system is not working because they are billionaires, and it doesn't work like that. It's like putting the blame on people who have amassed a fortune. No, these people have amassed a fortune because the system allows for it in some instances, like Bill Gates, like Jeff Bezos, okay? But it's, let's say that the opportunities are there for pretty much everyone nowadays. That is a social topic that maybe I would address in another video. But again, I think that is a stupid question.
So we've got a lot of work to do. The sooner, the better.
My hope to eradicate malaria in my lifetime.
I want to eradicate it in my lifetime. It's a tougher constraint.
So yes, that would be great. I'm not gonna lie. If you can eradicate diseases in Bill Gates' lifetime, that would be great. Again, no, I have no complaints about that. If he achieves that, that would be a great thing. But the problem is, what are the steps that he could take to get there, and what are the implications of those steps? And we know that in terms of health, yes, nowadays we have antibiotics, and at some point in humanity, someone had to put antibiotics to the test, right? And you have to have human trials, but you have to make them like step by step, little by little, until, well, they actually worked. But 4 years ago, 3 years ago, we lived through maybe the largest, most massive health experiment globally. That was maybe a bit too much. I haven't said this in other videos, but I think health can improve vastly with all the tech that we have. And yes, mRNA vaccines can work in so many ways if they are developed correctly and if they are tested the way that they should be tested. Not in the, okay, we are 9 months already and we can just send those to billions of people. No, wait. There are steps to it. There are levels to this game. Yes, I think mRNA vaccines can work in wonderful ways, but you have to test them the way that you tested antibiotics at some point. But you cannot tell me that antibiotics are not really helpful for humankind. But you need to do your homework the way it has to be done, not a massive, crazy, evil scientist experiment on billions of people.
In my lifetime, it's a tougher constraint. So.
If Bill Gates didn't exist, we'd have to make him up. If we did, no one believes the character.
What? Bono? You know that the last time I thought about Bono was when he was forced upon us with an iPod, I think, was on an Apple Music. When I used to use Apple Music, I use YouTube Music now. But you know, when he was forced upon us in that free I don't know if EP or LP that was included on an iPod or something. Well, now he's forcing Bill Gates on us. And he says, and I quote again, if Bill Gates didn't exist, we'd make him up. If we did, no one would believe the character. Oh my God, here's the second coming. Oh, this is way too much. You know the lighting, the drama and stuff. Maybe Bono is a specialist in characters and we don't know yet, or at least I didn't know yet.
The character.
We have to drive innovation to get ahead of these challenges.
Okay.
Do you think we can do it?
Absolutely.
Okay, it is the usual. I'm not so sure, Bill Gates. But again, maybe he is not so sure that he can pull that off. But the question is... Okay, music fades. The question is if he is going to do it in an ethical way. That is the big question that we have. And my analysis of this, and that he as a persona, and you saw and you heard Bono's words. This is all about Bill Gates as him personally, not the troubles of the world. He wants to craft this story about his gigantic task saving the world. But I would like to know what do you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language Guy, and remember to download my free body language tips in the description of this video. Much love and bliss.